Oh, and just really quick, if you guys can give me a host control or co-host once I switch over, that would be great. Thank you. All right, we are live and good to go.
All right, good morning, everyone. First, we want to say congratulations to the logo winners. Congratulations, Zoe. That is a great logo. Also, in second place, we got Michelle and Isabella and Sophia in third place. Those are all great logos, so thank you so much. All right, so let's get started today. We are going to do lions, and my name is Danica, and I'm joining you from Carpinteria State Beach. Also joining me on Team Rattlesnake from Carpinteria State Beach is Christina. Why don't you say hello, Christina?
Hi, everyone. Welcome.
And hello, everyone. My name's Parker, and I'm on Team Mountain Lion. Yeah, go Mountain Lions. We're going to battle it out with those rattlesnakes today. It's going to be super awesome. So I don't know about you, Christine. Are you ready to battle it out together?
I'm ready to battle it out, Parker.
Sweet. Well, I still honestly think mountain lions are going to be way better than those rattlesnakes, you know?
Well, I think that rattlesnakes are pretty awesome. I mean, their venom can take down an animal almost 200 times their weight.
What? That is insane, you know? But, hey, you know what? Those mountain lions can take down a deer, you know? I'm just saying they can just pounce and ambush them. So it's going to be super fun to battle it out today because I don't know who has the coolest, like, adaptation, right? The coolest superpower, all those great things, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, Parker, do you want to go ahead and talk about state parks and why we're special?
That would be awesome. So we are all here today to celebrate Earth Week, and I just want to remind everyone, like, Earth Week should be every week, right? In my opinion, and every week is a great week to be able to learn about our California state parks. They're just super important places in California that are just good for all of us, And so I really think, though, that our state parks are so important for wildlife, especially those two creatures that we mentioned. I mean, rattlesnakes and mountain lions. I know we see both of them here along the Gaviota coast, and I'm sure you see the snakes in your park too. Is that correct?
We do see snakes here. I have never seen a rattlesnake, but I have seen a lot of garter and gopher snakes.
Oh, okay. That is awesome. Yeah, we'll see both of them here because I know you're at Carpinteria. You're kind of like in the city too, so I don't know if those mountain lions would be like brave enough per se to go in there.
Oh yeah, no, we don't see mountain lions here. We see rattlesnakes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, super awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to bring up a map here to show everyone where we are in California really quick because I think that's always super important to do. So here's a little map of our area. I always like to tell people, and I'm sure I see a lot of friends joining our chat today and joining our group. We are here along the elbow in California, where California sticks out into that ocean there. That is where we are coming to you all live from today. So today I'm actually at Refugio State Beach. Hey! And then down here in the corner, you can see our friends at Carpinteria State Beach. If we were to drive to see each other right now, it'd probably take us about a half hour to do so. But we're right near Santa Barbara, beautiful coastline. And it's just so important to highlight these habitats that are just so important for these charismatic megafauna. We really just love them there. And so our parks just provide just such an important habitat for them. So I think Danica joined again. And so I'll toss it back to you, Danica. We were just sharing with everyone a little bit about protecting our coast, why these are super important. And we were sharing about like why we're going to battle it out today.
All right. Thank you. Hold on just a minute. Having some technical difficulties here. Zoom kicked me off.
No worries. We're just here to have fun today.
Yeah. All right. So here we've got, let's go into full screen, get everything back going here. There we go. All right. So we are going to have a battle today. We're going to have 4 rounds and we're going to battle it out and show how cool rattlesnakes and mountain lions are. And at the end of the battle, you guys will get to decide who is the winner. So who is it going to be? The venomous rattlesnake or the fierce lion of the mountains? Let's get started with round number 1. So for round number 1, who was born a champion and has a home to envy? In this round, we're going to talk about their anatomy, their bodies, and their habitat, where they live. So Christina, why don't you start us off with Team Rattlesnake?
Awesome. Thanks, Danica. So, my friends, there are about 7 different species of rattlesnakes right here in Southern California. In Santa Barbara County in particular, we have 2. We have the Southern Pacific rattlesnake and the Northern Pacific rattlesnake. But the one that you'll find the most common is the Southern Pacific rattlesnake. And I'm going to go ahead and share with you some photos here. And while I'm pulling up the photos, I'll just give you a couple fun facts. So these rattlesnakes, my friends, can get up to 44 inches in length, and I'll show you with my arm. So that's from my hand here to about my shoulder. Pretty long snake, and they can live up to 20 years. So let's pull up some photos to show you some other fun facts about their body. So this is a photo of our Southern Pacific rattlesnake. And something that you'll notice about rattlesnakes, a very common feature is that they have slits. Their pupils become slits, kind of like cat eyes, cat pupils. And the reason why they become slits is because this helps them to see in both bright and dim light. Also, if you've ever seen a Southern Pacific rattlesnake, they come in different colors. So this one looks more like a green yellowish color, whereas this one is more like a light brown with the brown blotches on its back. And it can even have black blotches on its back. And like all rattlesnakes, it has a triangular head, and that's how you typically can identify a rattlesnake, versus non-venomous snakes have a more round head. And Danica is going to go into this a little bit more later. And you'll notice that the head is wider, larger than the neck. And that's another way to help identify them. And another cool thing about rattlesnakes, like the Southern Pacific rattlesnake, is they have a very dull color to them. And that's because they have these scales with these ridges that appear in the middle. And those ridges are just the bumps that appear in the middle of the scales. Yeah, so now I'm going to go over where exactly they live. So let me go ahead and pull up a map of where our Southern Pacific rattlesnakes are exactly located here in California. And then we'll talk about their specific habitats and places where you might find them. So here is Southern Pacific rattlesnake territory. And I'm going to go ahead and draw with the pink marker here where you will find it. So you'll find them all along the coast, starting from Santa Barbara County, going all the way down to San Diego. And you'll find them in pine forests, coastal pine forests, coastal sage scrub, sand dunes, and chaparral. And specifically, my friends, rattlesnakes typically are found in dark places. And the reason why they're found in dark places is because this is their way of helping to regulate their body temperature. So if they get too hot, they can go to a dark place to cool down, or they might even be going to that dark place to warm up. And another reason why they like to hide in dark places is because they're ambush predators. That means they like to kind of wait around for their prey to come and then pounce on them. So you might find them in grassy areas, tall grassy areas, rock crevices, under houses, and in burrows. So burrows are holes that animals make in the ground. But here's a question for you all. How in the world do rattlesnakes dig burrows? They don't have arms, they don't have legs, they don't have feet. How in the world do they dig burrows? So take a moment to think about that. How are they? Maybe some of you are thinking they use their head and they just use their head to dig that hole, or maybe they use their tail, or maybe they wiggle their body. Well, the answer is they don't dig holes. They actually, what they will do is steal burrows from other animals. So let's say there's a mouse living in this burrow. The rattlesnake will make its way into the burrow and might even eat the mouse and then occupy that burrow. So Parker, can you tell us a little bit about mountain lions and their anatomy and where they live?
Yeah, totally. That sounds great. It is a super just really cool creature that lives here along our coastline and that we just see all over the place. But you know what? I've been looking out here for wildlife today, and I don't know if our friends can also make me a co-host too. And as I was looking around here today, I was like seeing if there was anything out here. I don't know. Does anyone see anything? No, I see nature, right? It's always a good day to be out in nature. But you know what?
Mountain lion. I don't see a mountain lion.
What? Okay.
Is that what we're supposed to see?
I don't know. Well, you all are in luck because I did bring my wildlife camera out here. I don't know if you all would like to maybe see my wildlife camera. But let me just jump over here to my camera here. I don't know if there's going to be anything out there. You'll just have to tell me and see. But here we are. I don't know. Can you all see my camera okay? Oh, yeah. There is something out there. I don't know. Do you see it? All right. There it is. It is the mighty mountain lion. All right. It is just so cool out there to see our good friend, the mountain lion. It is out there in our park. Just such an important creature who calls this place their home. We absolutely love them. And so, but yeah, this is really good shot here to be able to see their anatomy out there. What makes them pretty cool in our California state parks. And so we love to call them there, though, by 40 different names, which is kind of crazy. 40 different names, from the puma, the cougar, the mountain lion. Really just depends on where you are in California with what we refer to them as. But yep, we do have those really cool mountain lion species there. But let me bring up a couple photos of some of those mountain lions to be able to show you some of their anatomy up a little bit closer. So I just think they're remarkable mammals. But here they are. I mean, look it's just like a cat, right? Just like a cat that you might have at your house, right? Really, it's a little bit larger. They're just short heads. They're small, and a little bit smaller head in size there, right? Long neck, beautiful body. Just a super duper long tail as well out there. And their bellies tend to be a little bit lighter in color. I think I have another drawing here. You can see like their bellies a little bit lighter in color there. But you know, Christina, I heard you say about the size of those rattlesnakes. These mountain lions, though, they can be up to 8 feet long. I think that's a lot cooler than your rattlesnakes there. And they can weigh up to over 150 pounds. Especially those males. Those females can weigh up to 90 to 100 pounds. I think that's way more remarkable than those rattlesnakes, for one. And for two, they like to eat deer. I mean, I know people like to eat deer too, right? That is their number one food source there. But they are really just secretive and just a solitary animal. And that's what makes them able to live in some of the same habitats as people, especially in some of those urban environments as well, where sometimes we do see them, you know? And their range is quite large, over 100 square miles. Whew. But I really like to say one of their superpowers is their power to be an ecosystem engineer. Now, I didn't hear you say that with the rattlesnakes. I am just going to call you out on that there. But they are ecosystem engineers. They help make up our ecosystem. A lot of times we refer to them as our apex predator, that top predator in our environments, especially in the foothills and up in the mountains. So important. So we're kind of on the coast here. We've got our hills behind us. We do see them up there. But what does it mean to be an ecosystem engineer, my friends? I want you to think about that. Ecosystem engineer. It's pretty smart term there. But what they do is they hunt deer, right? So they hunt those deer. Then what's left over is the carcass, right, from the deer. They eat it. But that carcass from that deer also provides food for other creatures like vultures and maybe like some possums and some other things that might want to munch on them. Even insects too. They support the insects in our parks and in our natural environments. They also provide food for like I said, bird species and all that. And even too, they help control our deer population. Because if we had a whole bunch of deer, well, they would just like take over and just eat up all the trees, all the bushes, and it would create an imbalance in our ecosystem. Wouldn't be a nice balance, wouldn't be in check. So they help keep our ecosystem in check. So, but like I said, to create that nice balanced ecosystem. So really by having them here, right, having them in our parks, having them in our natural ecosystems is a really good sign. We really do love to see that there. And our mountain lions are considered to be specially protected in California as well. And so they have some extra levels of protections, unlike some of the other creatures. I don't know if rattlesnakes have special protections. I mean, like those mountain lions do. That means we must care a lot about them there. So super cool stuff there. But I'll turn it back over to you at Carpinteria.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Christina, and thank you, Parker. That was some great information. So with such two different animals, one animal, one reptile with such different bodies, I'm kind of wondering who would be the better hunter? So let's bring it to round number 2 here. Round 2. Who's got the skills to get their meal? And I will turn it back over to Christina, and she's going to tell us how rattlesnakes hunt.
All right, well, welcome back. So I heard Parker mention things about mountain lions being ecosystem engineers and being really important to certain environments and habitats. Well, rattlesnakes, my friends, are just as important. Even though they are not considered ecosystem engineers, they help kind of keep things cleaned up and keep animals in check. So for example, if there's dead mice or anything that might be lying around that a rattlesnake might want to eat and it's dead and it's rotting, they're going to eat it up and they're going to get rid of it so that it's not spreading diseases, it's not making things smell or making things just not pretty for us. So rattlesnakes are really important animals in keeping animals populations in check. So here are some of the animals that they love to eat that are on their menu. And then I'm going to go into how they hunt them, which is going to be really interesting and cool. So here are some of the animals that they eat. So if you've got a mouse problem at your house, and you got some rattlesnakes nearby, they're going to help keep these mice in check. They love to eat mice. They love to eat squirrel, gophers. I know some of us have a gopher problem in our backyards, or if you own a large property of land and you've got a gopher problem, having a rattlesnake nearby can help keep that gopher population in check. They also eat lizards and birds that dwell, that means live or find food on the ground. So this is our house sparrow here. Yeah. And just some other quick fun facts, my friends. Rattlesnakes only need to eat every 2 weeks. And that's because their metabolism is very slow. That just means that it takes them a long time to digest their food and turn that food into energy. And then remember what I said, they kind of like to sit around in dark places. So they're not moving a whole lot. So they're not using as much energy as maybe a mountain lion does. So they only have to eat every 2 weeks. And now I want to go into how they catch their food. And boy, do they have some really amazing superpowers to help them find and catch their food. So I'm going to pull up a few pictures here, and we're going to talk a little bit about their tongues, their venom, and then also what to do if you ever were to be bit by a rattlesnake, which I hope would never, ever happen. So rattlesnakes have this amazing adaptation. They have what we call a forked tongue. So you can see right there that the tongue, the tip of the tongue, goes in 2 different directions there. Yeah, it splits to the right and to the left. And what happens is they use that tongue, my friends, to sweep up particles, smell particles. So we're going to say that these green dots here that I'm about to draw are little tiny microscopic particles, smell particles. So they'll take those particles, use their tongue to scoop them up into their mouth. And what those particles will do, they'll travel into the mouth and to this place right here that my arrow I'm circling. It's called the Jacobson's organ. The Jacobson's organ then tells the brain where that smell is coming from. Is it coming to the left of the rattlesnake, or is it coming from the right? And that forked tongue helps them identify what direction the smell is coming in. So a really cool adaptation that rattlesnakes have. Another thing is, and maybe some of you knew this already, but rattlesnakes are considered pit vipers. And that's because they have these pits, these holes that are found in between their nostril and their eye. And what those pits do is they simply sense body heat. So right here we have a thermal image of a mouse. And what this picture is showing is the heat coming off of that mouse. The orange and red areas show where the most heat is coming from, and the green and blue show where less heat is coming from. And what rattlesnakes can do using those pits is sense where that heat is coming from, send that message to the brain, and then the brain can tell them where exactly to go to track that animal down. So let's see if I have move on to the next one here. And then last but not least, snake venom. All right, so rattlesnakes are venomous animals. They have 2 venom glands in their bodies, in their heads, attached to each fang. Apologies, friends, we have the train going by. So we'll pause here. Yeah, so each fang is attached to a venom gland and a muscle that helps to squeeze that venom out. This is the muscle right here that helps them to squeeze that venom out when they capture their prey. So when they're ready to strike their prey, they open their mouths. Their fangs will then shoot out. When their fangs are not in use, they'll just stay tucked away at the roof of their mouths, at the roofs of their mouths. And when they're ready to bite their prey, those fangs will shoot out. And then that venom gland will go into action, squeezing venom into its prey. And you can see it illustrated right here in this picture right here. Yeah. And Another cool thing about rattlesnakes, my friends, is they can open up their mouths almost 180 degrees. And I don't know if some of you heard me earlier, but rattlesnakes can take down animals much, much larger than they are, almost 200 times their weight. And I wanted to go in really quick, my friends. So most rattlesnakes have 3 types of toxins in their body. And if toxins is a type of poison, and one poison can affect the muscles of the animal that it bites on. Another poison affects the brain, and another poison affects the heart. So if and if anybody has ever encountered a rattlesnake, there are things that you should do, and Danika's going to go over some of those things that you should do. But I'm going to talk about what to do if you are bit. But first of all, if you ever do encounter a rattlesnake, my friends, make sure that you give it space, that you're not hovering over it and making it feel intimidated, because rattlesnakes are not aggressive. They're instead defensive. So let me pull up some other photos to share with you. We are. Yeah, so just remember, my friends, that rattlesnakes, they don't want to use up their venom. They will instead only use their venom if they have to. So sometimes what they'll do is, if they do feel threatened, they'll get into a striking position, they'll rattle their tail. And this is just to show you that, hey, you're making me feel a little scared and intimidated, and I might bite you, so you better back off. So some things to do in the rare occasion, my friends, that anybody is ever bit by a rattlesnake. Some things that you should do is remember to stay calm, because you don't want to get your heartbeat up. Your heartbeat will just help spread that venom faster throughout your body. Make sure that there's nothing constricting the venom or the area that's been bit, because then that can cause an infection. If you were bit on your leg or on your arm, make sure you keep that area below the heart so it doesn't, again, the venom doesn't travel faster throughout your body. And then also, you want to seek medical attention as soon as possible. Things that you don't want to do is don't panic, because you'll just get your heart rate up. And never, ever, ever cut the wound or try to suck the venom out. That will just get the venom into your mouth. And again, you can spread the venom further into the body. Don't wash the bite. You can wipe it, but don't wash it. And make sure that you never, ever, ever, under any circumstances, try to catch that rattlesnake, because what will end up happening is that rattlesnake can bite you for a second time. So you don't want that to happen. All right, Parker, let's hear a little bit about mountain lions and maybe some things that they eat and ways that they hunt.
Yeah, that sounds great. I've just been looking out here, seeing if I can see anything. Always fun to do. You know, I am trying to be fair, because I'm talking about mountain lions. So I brought my rattlesnake out here just to show you all. It's so cool. But one thing that I wrote down, because I was thinking about it when you were talking, I could just think of one word in my head about rattlesnakes. All right, are y'all ready? I'm going to show you their nickname. Rattlesnakes. All right. Rattlesnakes. All right. That's what I like to call them, because other creatures love to eat those rattlesnakes because they are their snacks, right? I don't know if we're having a competition here. Do you want to be friends with the apex predator, the top predator? Or do you want to be friends with the thing that's getting eaten? Because my friends, it has been recorded. You can look it up. Mountain lions will feed on rattlesnakes. They get desperate. They're not just going to eat those deer. They're going to eat smaller mammals, reptiles, including rattlesnakes. Yep, indeed. And those mountain lions, they're just so quiet. They're just out there, right? And a lot of times when you're walking, you don't even know, one is right there. But rattlesnakes, they rattle. They give away their hiding spot. I don't know if I'm an animal out there, I'm going to give away my hiding spot to the creature I'm going to eat. What is going on out there in that animal world, right? I mean, hold on one second. Like, let me bring up something. All right. I mean, did you all know that this creature has been hanging out next to us the whole time? Yes. Take a look. It is our mountain lion. I love it. I wouldn't be lying to say that this creature is solitary. It's quiet. It's hanging out there, but just a really respectable mammal there. We really do like this. You can kind of see the size of this mammal just by looking at it, but I'm just saying, I just don't know about those rattlesnakes. I know, my friends, my rattlesnake friends, I don't know about that. We'll just have to find out a little bit more about them. But you know what? I'm going to bring to the stage right now a cool little piece. This here is mountain lion skull. I didn't see a rattlesnake skull, I'm just going to say. But great, beautiful specimen here. So their skull can be up to about 8 inches long, and about 5 inches wide, and even over 4 inches tall. So you can kind of compare it with my head. We have a similar smile, but I think they have larger teeth than I do, right? Might want to think about those function of those teeth, right? Their forehead, they have more of an arched forehead. I don't know, my forehead's pretty flat. I don't know about all of you out there. Theirs is a little more arched there, right? They have a separate cranium and jaw. Okay, you ready for it? It's going to be like mind-blowing. Here's their bottom jaw. Here's their cranium on top, right? It is separated. Think about any other creatures that might have that. So it's not all jointed together. They're fused together. But look at those just nice teeth too. Look at those canines there. Their teeth are meant for tearing and pulling things apart, right? And so especially like those deer, those other creatures there. But mountain lions are known as obligate carnivores. Sometimes we call them hypercarnivores there. And that means that is a carnivore that eats at least 70% meat in their diet, right? Their stomachs, right, they'll have difficulty digesting any sort of vegetable product there. So largely their diet is composed of meat there. So really wanted to emphasize that for you all there. But sometimes people are like, okay, got mountain lions, right? But aren't they the same thing as like a bobcat? And actually, my friends, a bobcat is a lot smaller than our good friend, the mountain lion there. But my bobcat, you can all say hi to Bob, the bobcat, has this nice little tufts on their ears, right? Mountain lions won't have those tufts, a little bit smaller in size, like a little house cat here. But I'll give you a good comparison with their skulls. So we have the mountain lion skull, and we have the bobcat skull here. So you can see very, very similar, but at the same time, you can see the size difference between those there. So that's often something that people get confused about when they do see those two creatures in the park, right? So, I mean, they can be pretty distinguished by that long tail. I mean, we don't have a rattle, but I think we have a long tail that we'll talk about those superpowers in just a couple minutes there. But they could eat up to 8 to 10 pounds a day, and that's a healthy diet for them there. They'll eat roughly every 1 to 2 weeks on average there, but they need enough food that would be about 8 to 10 pounds of food a day. I want you to think about that. Think of something that might be about 10 pounds in size. So, all right. I brought something else here before we talk about what we do if we see a mountain lion, but ooh, smells delicious. I brought their scat. Yes. Beautiful, right? You can kind of see their scat here. It's gonna be larger than a dog because they are larger in size than our dogs, right? It's gonna be larger than like a raccoon, all those creatures there. But this is kind of what their scat would look like here. But their scat too, when you see it, a lot of times it's buried buried in all sorts of things, but a lot of times we'll see hair in it. You'll see some of the skin in it, maybe, and even bones too, because their bodies can help digest that a little bit more there. So you might see some of those bone pieces in there, but their scat can be about 4 to 6 inches long. So, and the larger the scat, the larger the lion, which is pretty cool. And so, all right. So our friends did, like, what do you do if you see a rattlesnake? Those rattlesnakes, I guess I should say, because super tasty, right? For our mountain lions. But if you do see a mountain lion, we're going to practice this here, all right? So remember, rule number 1, do not run, right? Got to stay in place, all right? Got to stay in place. Because, I'm walking on the trail and I saw a mountain lion. All right, here's our mountain lion. All right. So mountain lion's like, who are you? And so what we want to do is we want to stand up and make ourselves really big. All right. So I want everyone to stand up. All right. Christina and Danique, I hope we're standing up with me. All right. We're going to practice this with everyone. All right. Hope all our friends tuning in today are standing up too. Going to trust you all that you're doing that. And then what you have to do is you got to wave your arms. Yeah, it's like a dance party. We're going to have our little Ports Earth Week dance party. Yeah, raise your hands. You can even clap your hands, start making some noise. Woo! All right. And then what you're going to do is we are going to make some noise. So I'm going to make noise for 5 seconds. As loud as you can. Are you ready? Set and make some noise. Woo! Yeah! Hey! Get away! Woo! Okay, and come back in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. Thank you everyone for joining our dance party. Whew. That mountain lion is long gone now because I could hear all of you out there. Whew. I know some of us are not close in distance, but wow, that was great. Phenomenal. Great work, everyone. And so I'll go ahead and we should move on to our next round. So we have plenty of time here. So pass it back to our friends at Carpinteria.
Awesome, Parker. That was a lot of fun. I probably scared some people here in the office. So I know I wouldn't want to cross paths with either of these animals. But what would you do if you did? Do mountain lions make roars? Do rattlesnakes talk to each other? So in round number 3, for this round, we're going to be talking about communication. And I'm going to kick it off for Team Rattlesnake here. So who's got the sound to fear? All right. Well, I just scared some people in the office with my roaring, but let's first talk about rattlesnakes. They're generally solo, timid animals, but there are a few times when they do gather together. Now, usually that's in colder winter months where they want to gather together in a den to keep warm. Think of it as a giant cuddle puddle, and there can be a dozen to tens of thousands of snakes, especially way north in Canada. And not just snakes gather together. It can be turtles and other mammals and bugs will all curl up with the snakes to stay warm for winter. Now think about that. A little cute kitty on the trail or a whole pile of snakes. And another time you can see snakes together is when moms are having their baby snakes. Now, baby snakes are born with fangs and ready to defend themselves, but sometimes moms will hang out with the snakes for a week or 2 until they're first shedding and protect them. And those little snakes are very small, so they might cuddle on top of mom to keep warm. Now, after that, those snakes might still follow mom's trail to find a safe den or shelter. And that brings us to, how do snakes communicate? Well, they have 3 ways of communicating: pheromones, body language, and sound. So let's talk about pheromones first. As Christina mentioned, snakes have a very highly developed sense of smell. So as a snake slithers along, it uses these special glands to release pheromones. And these pheromones can tell all about the snake, whether it's a boy, whether it's a girl, how old it is. And then when another snake comes along, it'll taste those pheromones and be like, sounds like maybe a girlfriend. I'm going to follow that smell. Or that smells like my friend Jerry. He knows some good dens. I'm going to follow him and find a good den to hide in. Now, when the snakes do encounter each other, pheromones, they're kind of like snake mail. But when they do come across each other, then they use body language. So when a boy comes across a girl, they'll do a courtship dance. And this usually involves the boy rubbing his chin against the girl. And the girl might not be so sure if she wants to be his girlfriend. So she might smack him in his face with her tail. And this can last for even a week until the girl decides whether or not she wants to be his girlfriend. But let's say another boy comes along. Well, then those two boys are going to have a battle. They're going to do a combat dance, and they're going to coil around each other and grapple. And this can last for several hours until a winner is declared. Now, the third way that snakes communicate is through sound. Now, snakes do not have a way to talk, a voice box, or a way to hear. So this is more done to communicate to threats. So there's two sounds that they make, the rattle. Let's give the rattle a hear. And the hiss. Ooh, scary. So how the snake makes that rattling, they're actually keratin scales like your fingernails or your hair. And each time a snake sheds its skin, it adds a new rattle to its rattle. And as somebody's approaching, that rattlesnake will rattle its rattle. And as you get closer, it might change the frequency of the rattle, making it faster. And this makes it harder to figure out exactly where that rattlesnake is. It might make that rattlesnake seem closer than it actually is. Now, how a rattlesnake hisses. Christina talked about the glottis, this part that's connected to the windpipe of the snake, and that lets that snake still breathe when it's swallowing prey larger. But when it's scared, it'll force air, it'll exhale through the glottis, and there's a little piece of cartilage that will shake, giving it that hissing sound. Pretty cool. All right, my friends, so that brings us to safety. What if you hear a rattle or a hiss? Oh, and it is important to note that not all rattlesnakes will rattle, especially rattlesnakes in more populated areas. So safety, first of all, always when you're going out in nature, have a fully charged phone, have a hiking buddy, and let people know your hiking plans. And also know when snakes are active, usually between April and October, but dress appropriately. This child here is dressed appropriately. Wear tall boots, preferably 10 inches high, thick socks, and long pants. Never walk around barefoot or in sandals. And stay aware of your surroundings. Don't wander off the trail, step in underbrush, step on rocks, or pick up logs that you cannot fully see. And if you're picking up firewood, wear some gloves. And always roll those logs or rocks towards you so any animal, including snakes, have a moment to get away. Now, another thing is that rattlesnakes do swim. So if you're swimming, be careful of grabbing onto any branches because it might be a rattlesnake. So what if you see a snake? Well, rattlesnakes in California are our only venomous snake. And there are a lot of indicators to tell a venomous snake from a non-venomous snake. But let's just tell a rattlesnake apart from our other local non-venomous snakes. So like Christina said, rattlesnakes have a rattle. They have a triangular shaped head. Other snakes that are non-venomous have a round head that kind of blends into their body. Rattlesnakes have a narrow pupil. Non-venomous snakes, they have that round pupil. Rattlesnakes have those heat-sensing pits. That's why they're called pit vipers. Non-venomous snakes do not. And hopefully you're not close enough to see those fangs, but rattlesnakes have fangs. And other snakes, they just have teeth. And over to the corner, you can see the difference. We do not have coral snakes. They're on the East Coast, but we do have king snakes, and they are not venomous. So let's look at a couple local non-venomous snakes. We've got that night snake. It's got the round head. So it looks a little like a rattlesnake, but it is not. We have the gopher snake, and unfortunately, gopher snakes are often mistaken for rattlesnakes and killed, but they don't have a rattle at the end, and they have those nice round pupils. and the garter snake. It doesn't have any fangs. All right, so if you do come across a rattlesnake, it's got a rattle, it's got a triangular shaped head, and it's got fangs. Well, first of all, if it's in its natural environment and it's not going to get injured and nobody else is going to get injured, just leave it be. It's its home. But if it's somewhere where somebody can come across it, or if it's in a place where it can get trapped or injured, call a professional. In fact, call a professional if you see any snake under a car or trapped. Now, do not handle a dead rattlesnake. Those heat sensing pits still can activate. And that snake, even though it's dead, can still bite and inject venom. All right, my friends. So most rattlesnakes, they don't want to hurt you. So if you come across it, just leave it be, stay calm, tell an adult, don't move towards it. It most likely just wants to go about its day and will only attack if threatened, cornered, or stepped on. And on that note, I will pass it back on, and we will start with round number 4, our last and final round. So maybe you guys already have a favorite, but will this round change your mind? Round number 4, superpowers. Christina, why don't you get us started off with rattlesnake superpowers?
All right, so I'm going to talk about a couple of rattlesnake superpowers. And I did mention a few things. I mentioned that they're pit vipers. I mentioned that they have fangs and venom. They can take animals down that are much, much larger than them. And Tanika mentioned a lot of other adaptations. So keep those in mind, my friends, as you're making your decisions at the end. But I'm going to share with you a few more things that are really cool about rattlesnakes. One thing, and as I'm pulling up these pictures, is that rattlesnakes shed their skin like most reptiles do. And they shed their skin all together in one piece. And let me go ahead. And so the first sign that you know a rattlesnake is shedding is its eye will turn like this pale white color, and that's called an ocular scale. Rattlesnakes do not have eyelids. So the first thing you might notice when a rattlesnake is, or any snake is ready to shed, its eye will turn this white color, and that's its ocular scale getting ready to come off. And the photos that you're going to see here, my friends, are not of rattlesnakes, but non-venomous snakes. But like I said, all snakes shed pretty much the same way. And then what will happen, my friends, is the snake will find some kind of sharp edge on a rock, a log on the ground, and will make a cut along the side of its head to start peeling off its skin. So it'll rub its body more and more against that log, that rock, and its skin will start to come off. It'll wriggle its way out. And what happens is it produces this oil. Snakes produce this oil that helps to kind of lubricate the skin so that the old skin can shed off and the new skin can come out. And rattlesnakes are very, very vulnerable, my friends, when they first shed their skin. So for about a day or two, they will kind of hunker down in their dens or their burrows or in a nice dark place so that they're not disturbed. Another cool thing, my friends, about rattlesnakes is they will hibernate, except it's not called hibernation when reptiles go to sleep for a while. We call it estivation when they hibernate during hot, hot weather, and we call it brumation when they hibernate during very cold weather. And here is, they will find a den, a burrow, hunker down in that burrow for 1 to 4 months. They might wake up every so often if the weather's just right to eat or maybe take a drink, but then as soon as it starts getting too cold or too hot, they'll go back into their den. And here we have a photo of a rattlesnake tucked away in its den. Ooh, really cool fun fact, my friends, that I want to share. Remember, rattlesnakes do not have eyelids. So you're probably wondering, well, how in the world do they sleep? Well, that part of their brain that controls their vision will make their vision shut down, will allow their vision to shut down so they go to sleep. It's like their vision is no longer working. Another cool fun fact, my friends, the last one that I want to share with you for the sake of time today, is that rattlesnakes, a lot of people think that rattlesnakes can't hear. They think rattlesnakes are deaf, and that is not true. Take a look at this picture. Can you see the rattlesnake's ears? Can you all see their ears? Where are their ears? Can you see them there? I don't know about you, but I do not see their ears. Well, my friends, they do have ears. Their ears are actually located inside of their head. They do not have an external opening like we do. We have holes on the side of our heads, and those are our ears, and we have ear flaps. They do not have an ear flap, and they do not have a hole, but they have an internal ear, and that ear would be probably located right around here. And the way that rattlesnakes hear is by sensing vibrations on the ground. And I love this cartoon. So what the rattlesnake will do is it will put its head on the ground, and when an animal is scurrying about, like a mouse here, that mouse will create a vibration, and the rattlesnake will catch that vibration. It will travel through their lower jaw and then up into their internal ear, that ear inside their heads. And that is the way they hear. Then they can track down where exactly that animal is located, and then yummy lunch. So they have something to eat. Yeah. Any fun facts from you, Parker, on
Yeah,
mountain lions?
I know, right? We saw that rattlesnake eating a snack. Just saying.
Awesome. And Parker,
But
I'm sorry, I skipped
yeah.
over you for the communication.
Oh, yeah.
You want to
No
share about the
worries.
communication of
Yeah, of course.
awesome.
I will share
My
a little bit of it.
apologies.
Oh, you're all good. We'll share a little bit of everything together. I've just been reading here on the side. I just love to read.
Nice.
Brought my book out here, right? Conduct more research. Encourage all our friends out there to go to the library and find a cool book. I actually even found a cool picture of the mountain lion cubs. Here it is, our good old mountain lion cubs there, right? You can see when they're really small there, those spots all over their body there. So pretty fun there, but encourage you all to go conduct more research about all of the cool animals that live in our California state parks. Even go to the library in your local community and get one of those library passes to go explore our state parks. But pretty awesome there. But yeah, with our mountain lions, I think one of the cool things about them are their claws, right? So I got this here. This is one of their claws here. They have retractable claws, just like cats do, right? I don't know. Do rattlesnakes have retractable claws? Mm-hmm. They will retract there to kind of hide out, and then they'll extend those claws there when they're out hunting or looking for prey, all those cool things like that. So let me see. I'm going to bring up a couple of pictures here to share with you, especially like when you're out hiking or walking. I think it's important to know how to identify their tracks. I want to share their tracks. I'll share a couple of those cool superpowers, and then we'll get to our super awesome poll. I just want you all to remember Team Mountain Lion. Ooh, Team Mountain Lion. All right. So there we go. All right. We'll do these ones. So this is their feet here, right? Got to look at their feet. Got to love them. So if you're walking there in the sand, there are some different ideas or different ways that we can identify their tracks. All right. First one is the presence of claws. I'm sure all of you knew that there because you all are super awesome state park extraordinaires out there. And so we don't see any claws here, right? Nothing there. And I always like to tell people too that their pad, this is their pad down here, kind of has the shape of the letter M. So got a nice little M shape there. That's a really important way that we can help identify it as a cat too. Another thing that we can do too is we can draw a nice little line right through there. And that is another way that we can identify them as being a cat. Can go right through up this way too. So if we can draw those nice lines there, got some symmetry there. I know we're doing some math today, but good identifying way of it. But that M is really, really distinctive there. So, but you can actually compare it here. So what do you all say? is the one on the left or the right the mountain lion? I'll give you a second there. All right. If you look at these here, what letter do you see? M. M. Yes. What do you see over here? Claws. The one on the right is a dog. One on the left is an M. Therefore, M for mountain lion. Gotta love it there. Pretty cool there. But, you know, they do have so many great adaptations to, and their superpowers. Yes, their scent. Yes, their sense of smell. Their sense of smell. Their sense of hearing. Oh, it is excellent, right? Their eyesight too. Whew. Their eyesight is about 6 times better than us humans, right? So still not as good as owls, but still really, really good there. Excellent hunters, excellent ambush predators there. Excellent all the way around when it comes, but remember that scent, right? Good for hunting, good for exploring there. And just look at this, look at that, wow. Just in the air completely. I know if I jump, I can't be in the air that long, but you can see that nice long tail there. It's about that length of their body. Allows them to move really quickly. Their spine is so flexible to allow them to move in whatever direction they would like. And their hind legs give them power. That's their superpowers, their legs. I mean, I didn't hear that rattlesnakes can jump about 45 feet just while running and about 20 feet in the air. I'm sorry, rattlesnakes. I think we have you on this one. And so, but yeah, that's just really that 20 feet just in the air. And that's just from standing. So that just gives us an idea of how strong they really are. You can just see how muscular they are too, right? I mean, look at this. Wow, right? This is up from the mountains in California, but you can just see them there as they're moving there, right? But most importantly, these mountain lions help to create a balanced ecosystem, a nice balanced environment in California and in other places too throughout the United States where they are found. So I think that is their main superpower, just keeping our ecosystem in check. And that's really why I think this is a species that deserves so much protection, even more protection than what we give them, and that we can really study and learn to live with them and to help them out. And I mean, I have another photo from our park too. You can see, oh, here's our cubs. Oh, how cute, right? I didn't know if you could see the photo in the books. I wanted to bring that up, right? You can see those spots around their body, right? So kind of look a little bit like a bobcat, but then they'll lose those spots as they get older. But here's a nice little trail camera picture there. You can see our good friend, the mountain lion there. So we'll see them out on the trails, especially at nighttime too, making their way around there, but pretty awesome there. But I think I'll send it back to our friends here so we can launch our poll. I just want you all to remember, go mountain lions.
Awesome. Thank you, Parker. Parker, I have a question.
Yes.
Do mountain lions roar like African lions?
Oh, that is a perfect question. I totally forgot to mention that. You know, they're missing part of their voice box there. They'll actually have a high pitched like scream. You'll have to look it up online a little bit later. I'm not super fancy like with the rattlesnake noises. I think you beat me on that, but you'll have to look it up and see those noises there, but you'll hear a loud high-pitched scream, and they will kind of like do a little hissing noise too, and a little purring as well, like a cat. So yeah,
Purring. Awesome. All right, well, before we run out of time, I think we should move on here to our poll. All right, so whether you're team rattlesnake or mountain lion, teachers, it's time to get on those keyboards. Kids, it's time to take a vote. Who will it be? The venomous pit vipers or the cute, fluffy, adorable mountain lion?
mountain lions. We did the dance
the poll
party
here.
to
Hold
scare
on.
them away. Come on, mountain lions.
Let's see. Poll. And
Mountain lions eat
there
those
we go.
rattlesnakes.
All right, it's launched. Oh, now we got some rattlesnakes.
Oh yay. Go rattlesnakes. I know, I'll give you credit. Rattlesnakes are important too. Every creature
Well, you know,
plays an important role. I know.
they do. They control the rodent population, and
They
that helps
do.
control the spread of disease.
Mm-hmm.
That is very important.
Yes, that is so true, you know. I know we're having some fun today battling it out, but yes, all creatures play an important role. Today, my favorite creature is the mountain lion.
Yes. Right. Give you a little bit more time. All right, we got our results. And mountain lions. Parker, you won.
Go Mountain Lions! Thank you to all our supporters out there, you know, of our state parks and of our mountain lions. Yay, we appreciate you. And we give it up for our rattlesnake friends too, right? Yay, rattlesnakes. They're so important. But you know, I think those mammals, especially those charismatic mammals, are just so important, you know, to our habitats and to study. But yeah, that's awesome. Any final words from anyone else today?
Let's see. Well, do have some questions if we have a little time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe we could take a few of those questions, and then I know if any friends
we're
have to
actually at
log off.
time, you all. I think we're at time right now. So yeah,
Yep.
our program ends.
It is.
It
is past 10:30. Well, thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you
Thanks,
all so much for
everyone.
joining
Have a great
us.
weekend. Thanks for
Yes,
joining
happy
us.
Earth
Bye.
Week. Have a great day. Remember, Earth Week is every week. So have a good one. Bye, everyone. Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you.